All right. Can people hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so we have a few good things on the docket today. As usual, we have the technical update. I think we're going to get a demo, and then we'll talk about the Rock to Rev conversion coming up very soon. So with that, let me turn it over to Rao.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So welcome to Community Update 105. We are, as we speak, we're trying to get the 0919 release out. So the mergeability issues, for the most part, are in. There is one piece in the RSpace mergeability stuff, which is not really a requirement, in that the problems that we have seen with mergeability did not have anything to do with this, but that was just an improvement that was listed somewhere that we will probably try to release afterwards. So, but basically the mergeability features are all merged into 0919, or improvements for mergeability. Then there are the other PRs that we've been tracking for a while, and I've been speaking to in the previous community debriefs, such as the securing access to the protocol private proof of stake methods. That's also merged. The one that is not in yet right now is the insufficient flow bringing down the node. So this was something that Marcin had been working on, and we were waiting for that to be completed. In the Casper and block storage, again, the ones that we were talking about earlier, they're all merged now. We think we have found a bug in finalization. We're investigating that, but it's not one necessarily that causes any issues that we were able to see at this point in time. But we're working on that, as well as in deploy storage. The system deploys concept was introduced during the cost accounting piece, and the deploy storage is not using that. So we're looking to use that in the storing of deploys, so that things like slashing deploys can be stored. So that's the work in progress in Casper and block storage. In the 0919 that's coming up, we will have the HTTP interface, the improved HTTP interface that the community has been waiting for, and then the Ethereum personal signature format support would also be included in there. There are, in this area of making it more usable, there are a couple of things that we're working on, but these are likely to be post mainnet. The main one there is to allow the dApp developer to run exploratory deploys cost-free on a read-only node. And as part of that, it would allow cost-free access to checking rev balances and things like that. So that's being worked on. And then the other items, again, this removing the ad hoc parallelism bounds was one of the performance improvements that was done before and has been merged. And Mike is trying to merge a security fix, a small one. It's a one-line change for multi-sig wallets. That should be in 0919, actually. So that's kind of where we are. So overall, we have pretty much everything we need for the mainnet except the insufficient flow. Oh, there's actually one other item that we're also working on, which is making sure that the slashed funds go to a co-op wallet, so that if the slashing was caused by a software error, that we have the ability to redistribute those funds as appropriate. So that's being worked on. That should also be going in soon. So that's, I guess, all the updates on the technical side. Are there any questions on any of this?
Rao, is there a plan as to how to either help Marcin or pick up where he's at or so forth?
Yeah, the latest. I mean, what we
Actually,
decided.
could I interrupt here? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
I was going to say you had the latest information on that.
So yeah, I spoke with Marcin. He and I concurred that the approach he was taking for this fix is probably not going to be a good long-term solution. So I gave it a bit of a noodle this morning, and I think I have a solution. I need to talk it over with Mike, but I will. But if it flies, then I think we can get the fix in a very, very short period of time. But I just need to talk it over with Mike, and it's an out of the box idea, basically because it involves calling RSpace from Scala in a particular way. It may involve some reentrancy through Rolang, so that's the detail that I need to talk over with Mike. But I'll have that technical discussion, and if I can get it to work, then I think we can have this issue put to bed in a very short period of time.
Okay, thanks, Greg, because it seems pretty important. So it's good to hear.
Yeah, no, it is important, and in fact, it's a general issue. Like, what do you do with when you've got exceptions that need to cancel out a deployment? Joe was working on a general solution, but he was forgetting the fact that we have a locking mechanism in RSpace, and the real issue is if you use RSpace as your locking mechanism, what form of reentrancy do you have? For any computation that's suspended because the lock is inaccessible. So I'll talk this over with Mike, and if it works, then we have a very general mechanism that only takes a few lines of code to implement.
Okay, thanks.
Sure, of course.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the technical update? If not, then should we go to Raphael's presentation on dapi.tech and his update on the platform, on the dapi.tech platform? Greg, or is that?
Yeah, I was hoping we would get a demo from Raphael.
Yeah, that's what he's ready to do, I think.
Let's go for it. Looking forward to this.
Okay, so that's my turn. Hello, everyone. So I'll give I will share my screen. I will give a roadmap overview and presentation. Yes, if I have enough time, a small demo would be great also. So it's about the DAPI project I've been working on. So I'm getting ready for the Node 19, R-Node 19 release, because it will trigger some technical work and of course a new release of DAPI also, because we rely on this new release for some very cool feature for the next version of DAPI. So let's start. I have a small document. So the way I talk about my project changes over time as I talk with people. So right now I present DAPI as there is two sides. The first one is a decentralized name system, and the second one is a file and web applications distribution network. So I will go along my document. So basically, for the next release of DAPI, which will not be a production-ready release, it will be a beta release, even if it will run on the RChain main network. So basically, there will be two offers and two possibilities for developers. The first one is IP application. So you may call it a website also because it follows the same pattern, the same paradigm as existing website. The only difference is the name system layer that will be handled by the RChain blockchain instead of centralized DNS, the DNS domain name system that exists today. So basically, this is the demo I could do because it's very short. So this is the DAPI browser that will be available to download in a short period of time, maybe in 2 weeks or something like that. So what I will do is demonstrate how I can reference my server for it to be available for everyone that has the DAPI browser. So I have a server that is exposed to an IP address. So this is the IP address. This is my SSL certificate. It's not my private key, it's my certificate, so it is public. And this is the name of my server, dapi.tech. So basically, I will show you how I create a name on DAPI, because referencing a server is synonym to creating a name. So I should do purchase name, because this will send a true transaction across the blockchain platform I am connected with. But I will do it locally, so I will mimic a name purchase. So I will give it the name DAPI2. So this is the name inside the DAPI ecosystem. And then I will simply reference my server with the IP address, the SSL certificate, and the name the server is expecting to get to see in the headers. So so this is the website on the legacy web. And basically, the operation I'm doing right now, you do the same thing when you register your domain name through a registrar. Eventually, you handle the SSL certificate separately with Let's Encrypt or some other services, but usually it is grouped. So when, okay, so I think it's all fine. So when I hit the purchase button, basically it simply sends a blockchain transaction that will be recorded and processed by the RChain platform. And there will be a new entry in a big map of names. And a bit later, it will appear in the list of names. Those names are recovered through the multi-request mechanism. Basically, right now, I only have one node, but eventually 20 nodes will be queried to get those names, because this data is very sensitive. So we must have the highest integrity possible. So after some time, every user will see this name appearing in this list, and anyone will be able to hit this expression in the address bar and see the website loading. So basically, this application is an IP application, so it is one of the two types that is available. And some extension and security extension that IP applications have over a regular website is that they have exclusive communication with a given server. So JavaScript here cannot communicate with any other server on the internet. So this prevents a lot of injection attacks. So you see here that the images are not loading because they are hosted on some other server that is not referenced with the name. There is only one server with reference with the name, which is my server. So this is another feature that is worth talking about, but I'll get back to my document. So so basically, yes, the name system layer is decentralized instead of being centralized and and a bit dangerous to work with the DNS, with the legacy DNS. So the second type of application is dApps. So there is a supplementary level of abstraction because dApps are web applications or files that are entirely stored on a blockchain platform. So with dApps, I will simply upload all my code to the blockchain, and I will be able to load it using the same name system, of course. So 100% blockchain web applications. Also, the next release will be shipped with a easy file sharing capability. So you will just drop any file, and it will be sent to the blockchain, which means stored forever by the RChain platform. So be careful for what you upload. So yes, dApps have even fewer dependencies from private and centralized services because you don't even have to have a server exposed to the internet. You rely on the DAPI network. And of course, it is another dimensions of dApps, which is 100% traced web applications. So you can give proof that at each day, at a precise day and hour, that your applications, front end as well as back end, had a precise state. So yes, robustness, censorship resistance, and integrity. Everything that is loaded with a dApp will be verified against the private key that is linked, the public key, sorry, that is linked to a name. So the roadmap, so as I said, beta network launch for 2020. So beta network is the infrastructure side. So of course, at first I will own it entirely, but any user that has the infrastructure for it will be able to join. Basically, the names will be very, very cheap because it's a beta network. So it will not be guaranteed for security and production ready. And yes, the goal is to have between 2 and 5 network numbers. So that's it. Issues blocking the browser. So I gave those informations to the devs of RChain. So basically, it should all be fixed for the next release. So immediate goals of DAPI is to ship this beta network plus the next version of the web browser, gain adoption and interest from companies and devs. So a video just came out summing up the paradigm. So this is kind of my job to do, but I'm just like being transparent on my strategy. Yes, develop few dApps that illustrate RChain as well as DAPI's capabilities. It could be cool to have some dApps that can illustrate the capabilities of RChain concerning the transaction per second, for example. And then eventually run learning sessions from developer. A first doc will be also shipped with the next release of DAPI. And of course, invite anyone to build dApp. So basically, inside DAPI, there is some predefined dApps that are pretty basic right now. But any other dApp that is could be shipped as a default dApp ready to get deployed in next releases of that. So anyone will be able to propose some. So basically, I'm working on coding some dApps to be included in DAPI. So this might not be very actual, but yes, some Cagnotte application. Cagnotte is the French word for pot, ICO fundraising. Also a dApp token exchange platform that will be it will be a dApp, not IP application, of course. It will be 100% blockchain application, front end as well as blockchain side. and the file sharing that will be shipped by default with Debrief. So that's it. That's it for me. If you have some questions, you can ask them, or I will give back my screen.
Well, I want to thank you, Raphael, for such an excellent presentation. As usually, I think you have your eye on the prize. Yeah, very focused, and I think you're executing towards what I think are very important goals. I do have a question. Do you is the browser code open source?
Not yet. I plan to open source it when I have a more clear overview of the horizon about my project, because it can be, I think it can be dangerous sometimes to open source too quickly, particularly because I'm working alone on this project right now, so I don't want to open source it too quickly. But yet, yes, definitely, it is a target to open source it.
Cool. But you're saying that people can, like, if someone wanted to play around with your browser code, how would they do that?
Right now, it's not open source, so basically you cannot. You have to trust me who ships it.
I see.
But
Okay.
this is a still beta stage, of course. But yes, it's a goal I have to open source it.
Okay, no, understood. But for example, if I wanted to contribute to your project, would it be possible for me to join your repo and make some specific contributions?
Yeah, of course. Just you or anyone else, you can get in contact with me, and yes, it can be a more open platform.
Very good. And how should we contact you?
Through Discord, simply. I don't know if
Okay.
you know me.
Yeah, I understand. I can get you through Discord, but people listening might not know. Yeah.
Yes, there is an email which is okay. Which is my corporate email, contact @factco.tech. So this is the email. I don't know if you see it.
Yeah, we see that. And I guess if people go to dappy.tech and hit contact, that would connect to the same thing, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very helpful. I mean, part of the reason I'm asking is just is a personal reason. I've often thought that a Rolang-like language would be the right scripting language for a browser. It would be much better than JavaScript because in the user interface, you really need concurrency. You need to be able to, in order to have a user interface be responsive, you need to be able to handle both events happening on the front end as well as events happening on the back end, and to sort of weave those different threads together in a reasonable fashion. And so I would love to see a version of a browser that had a Rolang-like language as its scripting language. So I'd love to take a look at your code and see how hard that might be.
This is an Electron app. So basically, it's a Chromium embedded application. So everything Chromium has, Dappy will have it. It will display.
I see. So you're based on V8 then?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, understood. Okay, so that makes it harder to drop Rolang in as a scripting language. I'm interested in a kind of grounds, a bottom-up browser that starts not from the V8 engine, but from a Rolang-based engine. So, but anyway, I still would love to take a look at it.
Yeah,
have some fun with it. Cool. Very good. Very good. Really appreciate your presentation. Were there any other questions or comments from the community?
Okay,
All
so
right.
thanks very much. Thanks very much, Greg.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to tell us about your work. It's very impressive work. I really love seeing people who are focused on these kinds of things. This is exactly, if we're going to have an Internet 3.0, this is exactly the kind of work that needs to happen. I really, you know, I'm making it a goal that RChain can support you as much as possible. I did have a final question. So you and I spoke about possible applications, and I was wondering, just did you have a chance to look at any of those applications, and if you had any feedback? And it's okay if you haven't, no worries.
I listened to the. Maybe we should get in contact again, because I listened to the RCast. You told me to listen, but then I didn't have hands on any document. So
okay, there should be links in the web page where the RCast is linked.
Okay, I'll check it.
Yeah, but I can get you those links on Discord. So for sure. Great. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Raphael.
Yes.
Thank you.
So moving on then. So just to summarize, we had 3 outstanding pull requests, and 2 of them are in. Rao, so you're cutting a release with those 2, is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Awesome. And the third one, I think I have a quick fix for. I'll speak to Mike about it. If that's the case, well, we're looking at about maybe 5 days to get all of that work wrapped up, and another 10 days sort of grace period where we announce a block height. So we're looking at about 5 days away. Fingers crossed, 5 days away from announcing a block height, and then about a 10-day grace period for folks to get the to get their affairs in order. So as per the RCast that we recorded today, our crawlers cannot see into smart contracts or multi-sigs. So if you have rock balances that you want reflected in the Genesis block, you need to have them in Ethereum addresses that you have control over, i.e. you have the private key. This is important. Please understand that that's what we support. If you want to risk it with other things, that's fine. That's your business. But the recommended path is that you move rock balances that you want reflected in the Genesis block to addresses for which you control the private key. So I've said this hundreds of times over the last year and a half. So consider yourself informed.
And Greg, we keep repeating it in all our little sub meetings, like today at 10, the hangout, and anytime I'm in a meeting, it's definitely been repeated multiple times.
Good. I really appreciate it. We'll make sure that we have it on social media and everywhere else. But so we're looking at roughly 15 days, give or take, to when the Genesis ceremony will take place officially and RChain will be officially live. So please act accordingly. Any questions about that?
Greg, there's a question in the chat stating, what about a ledger for which you have the seed?
A ledger for that should be okay. That should be fine.
Yeah, so there's a way to derive your private key. Ian, I don't know if Ian's here, but there's like a web page on the website, and you could download it and run it offline, and you could put your passphrase in, and it will give you out your private key. And it does work. It takes a little squirreling around with, but I recommend people try it before so they're positive that it will work for them.
Very
Yeah.
good. Thank you for clarification.
Yeah, and I believe Ian has posted that somewhere on Discord. So if not, if you can't find it, just drop myself or Ian a DM on Discord, and we'll get you that information.
Maybe what we should do over the next few days is collect these questions for a FAQ. I think we do have a FAQ. Well, maybe we can augment that or just start a fresh one that's just focused on the rock to rev swap. But anyway, so that's hopefully that addresses that. Any other questions or comments?
Oh, and just one final thing. There's also going to be Arvin's wallet, which is my RChain wallet.com. And if you have any questions on that, you can reach out to Arvin on Discord as well.
Awesome. Well, with that, I appreciate everyone's engagement and look forward to the upcoming launch.